Howdy folks, I'm hiking along in the beautiful Wallowa Mountains of eastern Oregon. Spectacular scene here. An absolutely perfect sunny summer day in late July. Hiking with my brother who's somewhere on the trail back there behind me. So this video is titled Earth is Becoming a Spiritual School. And I was just thinking about this yesterday, watching a few different YouTube videos of different people talking about various spiritual type stuff and sharing their experiences and perspectives and insights and whatnot. And was just thinking about how it's becoming so much more mainstream and prevalent, that people just really all around the world are waking up to the concept that we are spiritual beings first and foremost, and within a context outside of the mainstream religions, which are so limiting and constrictive in their views. This very simplified paradigm of God is this great bearded man in the sky or whatever, dictating what humans should do. But then there's these angels, whatever that really means. And obviously there's been a spiritual paradigm on Earth for forever, most likely, especially in terms of religion. But that is a paradigm that doesn't really encourage people to look deeper, to look further, to start questioning. It's just, here's the way it is, as dictated by the Bible or the Quran or whatever, and accept it and assume that is the absolute truth written by God through human hands. But there's such a really a great awakening going on across the planet of people sharing their own views and experiences, rather than just parroting the church, rather than just going to church, listening to the priest, and assuming that that's just the final answer. Of people sharing their experiences through YouTube and other venues, their own personal insights, their own personal quest outside of the boundaries of the mainstream religious views, and much more of a collective quest for truth. And so it seems that Earth is really moving more in the direction of becoming a conscious spiritual school, rather than being a focus on the third dimension with survival as the main goal, and then some sort of a vague notion of this lofty idea of God and the angels and whatever hovering somewhere up above. All right, it's going to get a little noisy here. There's a waterfall up ahead on the right. I'm headed back down the trail that I came up. Pretty awesome. So instead of this static religious worldview of just read the Bible and accept whatever it says, people are really questioning much deeper, going within, going on their own personal quests, having such a unique array of different types of spiritual experiences, inner realizations, revelations, honoring their own perspective on truth and reality, And so it's becoming much more of a cooperative effort on trying to make sense of things, instead of this pyramidal structure of somebody at the top dictating the answers and the truth and God's views, and that trickling down to everyone else. And so it seems that the Earth is really moving in the direction of becoming a more conscious, more aware spiritual school. Of course, it has always been a spiritual school, as everything is a spiritual school, because we are first and foremost spirit. That's the whole point, is that our essence is something that is non-physical. We aren't just a biological being with this side phenomenon, epiphenomenon of consciousness being some sort of a random kind of secondary sort of offshoot of the evolution of species. At some point, some being, apes or whatever, just kind of popped into consciousness, and before that they'd all just been machines or something like that. I mean, the explanation within science for what consciousness is and where it comes from and how it originated just makes no rational sense. The point being that we are spiritual beings manifesting in the physical realm for the purposes of learning and growth and evolution. And so that's been the case all along, but there's much more of an awakening to that reality, and a searching and a yearning and striving to find a more sane, a more comprehensive, a more holistic approach and perspective on what's really going on, and how to then live our lives accordingly, rather than just following the rules dictated by the spiritual authority, whoever that may be. So, you know, this has been a phenomenon that's only 30-40 years old or so, since, you know, kind of the 60s and going into the 70s, people experimenting more on their own, and then all of the channelings coming through, and all of the very different perspectives that are being brought forth. So that's a relatively short period of time, just half a person's lifetime, for things to have changed so rapidly, for there to be bookstores of their own completely devoted to spiritual topics with hundreds, thousands of different books, rather than just being some small little section in your local bookstore at best. For there to be just thousands and thousands of these books on all these interesting, strange, out there, otherworldly topics, and so many different personal testimonies of people talking about their spiritual experiences that are so, you know, outside the mainstream. This is not just a passing fad in my estimation, but this is really moving towards something much more widespread, becoming more mainstream, of mainstream people talking about esoteric topics, Madonna talking about yoga and the Kabbalah. What's his name? The guy, the comedian, the big, tall, young, dark-haired British guy. Forgetting his name, but anyways, you know, mainstream actors, Jim Carrey, talking about spiritual stuff and getting the the masses of people to start thinking about these things is definitely a pretty amazing development that I assume will continue into the coming decades. So, the hope would be at a trail junction here. So we shall see what the future holds, but it is a promising development for Earth amidst a time of tremendous turmoil and crisis on many different levels, environmentally, politically, socially, spiritually, etc. that there is a awakening going on of people searching for another way of being, and so hopefully this is something that going into the coming decades and centuries, that Earth is transforming into a much more conscious paradigm that has the potential to be open to so much more positive potential, such a much brighter future than Earth's past and the very turbulent and violent and corrupt state that humanity has been in to a great extent. So we'll see, but anyways, it's exciting to be part of it in some way. Take care.